Welcome to Sanctus TV, episode 29. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. How are we? How are we, Vic?
Pretty good.
In episode 28, we were talking a lot about kind of the pledge, and we also talked about me and James going to Madrid. So we've just kind of, at the start of this week, we got back into the office after having like 3 or 4 days out, just kind of like reflected on this year, reflecting on like what's worked, what hasn't, and then we've looked ahead kind of to next year, to kind of looking at like what's next for Sanctus. So that's been really good, and I know what you mean. Like it was really important to like sort of get out of the office and do that, but then we've got straight back into like sort of the trenches, I feel, this week. But I think for both of us it was like really good to just spend like 3 or 4 days together to talk through that stuff. And yeah, I think we've got like a solid plan for next year, which is quite exciting, which we're going to talk about more hopefully on here and also internally over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
But I think like the last time you were on the vlog must have been a few months ago now.
Yeah, it was like my first couple of weeks here, really. It feels very different, like doing this now. I was so nervous the first vlog that we did. I remember like I got up and was just sort of covered in like a very cold sheen of sweat, which is a very attractive thing to mention. But I don't know, I'm not used to being in front of a camera in that sense, and I think being new, I don't know, you just want to get it right, don't you? But yeah, this time it's like, it's fine. Scott's just sitting there behind the camera. Yeah, the last time I spoke on here, I'd only been here for a few weeks. So yeah, I was kind of just still finding my feet, finding out what it is I'm going to be working on. And since then, we've done so much. We've had one event go down. We've worked sort of our partners. Feel like we've really got to know everyone, got a lot more involved in getting new businesses on board, being a part of the pledge, making that happen. Running focus groups, getting to know our community a bit more, hosting a few Sanctus talks as well, which was really cool. So just like having the community in here on a very bright and early on a Wednesday morning just to have a chat basically. And I'd had this trip planned for ages. I'd actually booked it well over a year ago, and it was for a retreat. So it was a week of yoga, coaching, sort of in-depth healing, really, I guess you want to call it, in Spain with about 20 odd other girls, no phones at all. And I've just got back from that and I feel great. Like, I feel so rejuvenated. It was just the best thing. I didn't really realise till I got there how much I needed it. And just turn off my phone was just like the most liberating thing. Like 5 days of not really knowing what's going on, being able to really just immerse myself in what we were doing there. And just really, I guess, I don't know, kind of like going deep into how you tick and what sort of patterns of behaviour you have. It sounds very intense, but it was actually really fun. And I'm at such a cool group of girls there as well. So again, it kind of reminded me of how special those communities can be. And when everyone's just being open as well. And we all just got along so well when we were there. And we were saying like, you know, it's weird because normally we probably wouldn't hang out with each other or wouldn't be the sort of people who would mix together in real life. But it just goes to show when you meet someone, your first question is like, so why are you here? What's going on with you? And people are being open and vulnerable. You just connect to something more than like what they do for a living, or if they're, you know, your sort of person or whatever. You're just so much more open to making connections with people. And
I suppose the other thing that like we've kind of announced internally quite quietly last week was across our partners is we are doing our first ever mental health in the workplace event, which is specifically for businesses, heads of people, HR managers, leaders in businesses,
team leaders,
CEOs, MDs to come together and basically talk about mental health in the workplace. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers. We've got 2 kind of keynote speakers who are going to be sharing sort of their experience of mental health in the workplace and what's worked, what hasn't, how it's changed over the years. We've also got a panel of different types of businesses, from some of the fastest growing startups to a small SME to a big kind of huge brand to like one of the biggest sort of consultancy firms in the country. So a whole range of different businesses really coming together and sharing. And I think like we try to create space for people to learn, because I think mental health in the workplace is still such a new thing. That's what I think one thing that we've seen this year is we've met so many different types of businesses and it's still a very new thing. So we want to kind of bring people together to be able to learn from each other.
Totally, yeah. And also it's one of the questions we get asked the most, isn't it? It's like, what do other companies do to support mental health in the workplace? And when we've hosted things like partner breakfasts and had all our partners in, like what's so valuable is when everyone can learn from one another and when everyone can see, oh, okay, so this works when we do this kind of thing in the workplace, or this hasn't worked so well. And just a space to get ideas really and to get inspired that, you know, if this is something you really care about for your employees, if you want to put mental health at the top of your people agenda, then this is a great space to come along to learn about that. And also to network as well. I mean, we're going to have some space afterwards for people to have a few drinks,
yeah.
hang around, like
Yeah.
meet and stuff. So it's going to be a really cool space as well to have literally a room full of people who want the people in their company to be able to bring their full selves to work.
Yeah.